All right, great. Welcome to 7.3. We're going to work from standard form to going to a graph. So we have three forms. We have our slope-intercept form, point-slope form, and then today we're going to be doing standard form. So standard form looks like AX, we use capital A, little x, plus capital B, little y, equals C. So it's when x and y, notice they're on the same side of the equation. When you look at the equal sign, the x and y are on the same side. There's a number on the other side. So if we look at our examples today, this one has a minus, but that's okay. But I have a 2x and a 4y. 5x, negative 5x, 3y. They're together, and then there's a number on the other side. Okay? So things we want to remember is standard form. We also want to remember slope-intercept form, okay, or literal equations. So literal equations is when we're going to solve for y. Okay, and then just backtracking, because we're going to be doing that, we have x-intercept. Remember, x-intercept is where it crosses the x-axis. And then the y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. Okay, so what is the x and y intercepts of the following graph? Okay, well, in this graph, the x-intercept is where it crosses the x-axis, and this is the x-axis. It says right there, I just wrote bigger. So on this line here, if I look, where does it cross that? It crosses it at 4. Okay, remember that is 4, and then it does not go up or down, so before 0. Okay, the y-intercept, I heard something in my house, it was scary. Okay, y-intercept is where it's going to cross the y-axis, and the y-axis is the vertical, it goes up and down, so I put the y down here, but you could also put it up there. Okay, and that's this one here. And that goes, looks like it's right there. And that was at -6. I just covered that up by accident. So that's going to be the y here, 0, -6. So remember, y-intercept is on that y-axis. All right, so whoever made these notes is super crazy. Okay, so this is actually going to not say this. That was silly. Okay, so we're going to say first step is we're going to solve for y. Okay, so to solve for y, we want to get y completely by itself. So to get y completely by itself, we're still going to think this -4 goes with that y, so we keep the -4y. We want to get rid of this 2x, because that's over by itself. Okay, so to get rid of a positive 2x, we are going to subtract 2x. And if we do it on one side, we're going to do it on the other side. Okay, so now those two x's are gone. We're left with just this -4y. And that minus we're going to think about as a negative now. So -4y equals. These are not like terms. Remember, this has an x, -2x. This has a 12. So we're going to leave this as -2x plus 12. This is why I like to think we call it literal equations, is because we don't actually do a whole lot of math. We just literally write the numbers down that we're adding. Okay, now this is a multiplying, because they're multiplying right next to each other. It's -4 times y. So to undo multiplying by -4, we are going to divide everything by -4. So we end up with y equals, because the -4 is now, we did the inverse, so we no longer need to write that, it's just y. Okay, we can use decimals if we would like to. That's still a thing. Oops. Apparently I didn't have pulled up. My bad. Bear with me here. Alright, so I don't know why it's showing so crooked lately. It's kind of weird. Alright, so we had negative 2 divided by negative 4. Okay, and with our equations, we don't want a decimal, so we do want to make that in fraction. And they simplified that. They made it 1/2. They divided both top and bottom by negative 2. So y equals 1/2. That x goes boop off to the side. Plus, and then 12 divided by negative 4. Again, if you don't know that, 12 divided by negative 4, it is okay to use a calculator when we end up with negative 3 plus negative 3. Okay, so now we want to find the slope and the y-intercept. We're writing in our own steps here because somebody screwed up these notes, aka it was me. Okay, so we wanted y equals mx plus b, so I'm going to write that right here. Y equals mx plus b. So my m is the 1/2, because that's with the x, it's the coefficient, so my slope is 1/2. Okay, and my y-intercept is the b. So remember that's our m and our b. Okay, so our b, the y-intercept is negative 3. So one of these tells us where to start. Okay, I can't start 1/2, doesn't tell me rise and run. I have to know where am I going to start. I'm going to start at the 0, negative 3. So this is my y-intercept. It's where the y-axis. So I'm looking at that y-axis. Oops, we used blue before. I'll use blue again. Y-axis. Okay, and my y-intercept is 0, negative 3. So I'm going to put that on the point. 0, and then down 1, 2, 3. Okay, now it says my slope is 1/2. So I'm going to rise 1 and run 1, 2. And then we can keep doing that. We don't just have to make 2 points. We can keep going and going. I know on IXL, we only do 2 points. But when you do it on Kami, or when you work on it on your quizzes, you can always do more. Okay, down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. So you can make it go through that whole graph. Okay? And then we draw a nice straight line through it. That way it makes our line a little bit longer, and when we're on Kami, it makes it a little bit easier to draw. All right, next example. Is that weird? Graph the equation negative 5x plus 3y equals negative 6. So again, we're going to solve for y. So the idea for solving for y is we want it to look like y equals mx plus b. Okay, and it might be a minus b, but that's okay. Okay, so the best friend of the y, the guy who's hanging out with the y, is the 3. That's the coefficient. So we're going to keep a 3 with the y. We need to undo this negative 5x. We do not like that guy. He's gross. Okay? Or that girl. That person. That person is gross. Okay? So to get rid of a negative 5x, with the inverse of a negative 5x would be to add a positive 5x. And if we do it to one side, we're going to do it to the other side. We're going to keep in mind here that these are not like terms. Before we get there, though, we bring down this 3y. And I'm left with positive 5x plus negative 6, or we could say minus 6, either way. Okay? And the reason we put that x first is because we want that mx. So you could do that now, or at the end you could just switch them around. Okay? Divide everything by 3, because we multiply by 3. And we end up with y equals, and if you're not sure if 5/3 can simplify, it is okay to use decimals. If I just plug that in as a fraction, 5/3, and make it a fraction, it will just tell me 5/3. So can't simplify, just leave it as 5/3. But the x goes boop off to the side. And then -6 divided by 3. So -6 divided by 3 gives me -2. So I could say -2 or I could say plus -2. Either way, it's the same. Okay. So when I look at this as y equals mx plus b, I'm going to use my slope-intercept form. M is 5/3 and b is -2. So remember, m is my rise over run. And -2 is going to end up being my y-intercept. It's actually a point. So if you don't write it like this, the 0, -3, like we did last time, that's okay. But we need to remember it's the y-intercept. It's an actual point. Okay? So remember that's on our y-axis. And our y-axis is the vertical one. That was terrible. Okay, so -2. What? Yeah, -2. 1, 2. It's not always negative, it just turned out to be negative this time. And we're rising 5, running 3. So up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1, 2, 3. Now this one we can't make it longer unless our graph was bigger or if we counted by 2s or something. So, because I can only go up 2, here I can only go down 3. So we're just going to make our line with those 2 points. Okay, and remember we want those lines to go throughout the whole graph. So if we're working on Kami, try your best to try and make a line that goes throughout the whole thing, and then arrows on both sides. All right, next page. This thing is not in standard form. This thing is in point slope form. So whoever made these notes, aka Miss Maria, y'all crazy, crazy. Just cross that out. That was dumb. Okay, so we got some crossing out to do here. When given this equation in standard form looks like ax plus by equals c. Okay, remember that x and that y are on the same side, and then just a number on the other side. We can graph by, cross that out, that's stupid. Okay, solving for y equals mx plus b. And remember, m is the slope, and b is the y-intercept. Now listen carefully. Don't stop this video yet. Okay, IXL is going to start you on some crazy problems. They're really not that crazy. But it's going to be like x plus 3y equals 9. Okay, if they give you this, remember there is a number here. Okay, so if it says just x, you're going to write in this position a 1. So we're going to make it a 1x plus 3y equals 9. Okay? Same thing if it's just a y. So if it says 2x plus y equals 4, right here is really 2x plus 1y equals 4. Okay, that's it. Good luck. You got it. Remember, you can always ask for help or anything else. We miss you. Okay, bye.